Welcome back to DHN. My name is Wade. Let's talk crypto. Our focus, render network token. A lot of questions about this project. What does it do? How does it work? Can it make me some money? Well, I'm going to answer all those questions for you in this video. Now, before we get into the meat of the content, I want to let you know that our token reviews are brought to you by one very special thing, the DHN Crypto Research Journal. Now, this is a tool I put together back a few months ago, and it's strictly focused at the crypto researchers. You know, the types with 10 or 11 tabs open at one time just on one project. Those types, right? They tell you to do your own research. Well, I created a tool for you. If you're interested, you can pick yours up at the link in the description under everything DHN Crypto. I bring that up mainly because the way I'm going to present the content in this video, it's structured in a way that you can take it and drop it in directly into the journal. Make it easier for you. Again, you can pick yours up at the link in the description under everything DHN Crypto. And now let's jump into the review. Now, the Render Network, they specialize in decentralized GPU rendering. Now, you may be familiar what decentralized means, but rendering is the process that creates the 3D images, CGI that we see in movies, and the augmented reality experiences that you may see when you're shopping or playing video games, so forth and so on. That's what render's focus is. Now, the thing is, this process in a traditional medium is very expensive and takes a lot of time. It would explain why Avatar took about 11 years to come out with that sequel, mainly because of all the rendering that had to be done. Okay, this is where the render network comes in. They can solve both of those problems, the speed and the cost, because of the decentralization. That's the beauty of it. In essence, what the render network provides is a streamlined way for enterprises and individuals to create beautifully rendered 3D images, NFTs, whatever you can think of. They're streamlining that process, and it may not be a life-saving use case. We're not expanding payment corridors here or banking the unbanked, but if you're aware of how much money the entertainment industry pulls in a calendar year, you can start to understand how valuable this token is going to be. Another advantage it has is that it's not many like it. I can count two other projects that are kind of similar, Veracity and Chili's. However, the biggest difference is that Veracity and Chili's more so provide the platform. The render network is what's giving you the infrastructure or the software to provide the graphics and the art and the NFTs that would then be sold on the Chili's platform or viewed on Veracity's platform. So again, the first mover advantage is very strong with the Render Network. Now, who founded the Render Network? Well, that brings up Jules Urbach. Now, this is a very interesting story because Jules Urbach has over 25 years in this field. We're talking 3D rendering, gaming, those types of things, right? It even goes as far as back in 2005-ish, I want to say. Well, the story is he was 18 years old and he created a software that would go on to be licensed by Microsoft, Nickelodeon, Disney, Hasbro, a long list of names. But it was because of that he would then go on to found Otoy, which is the parent company for the Render Network, in 2008. So already coming in with that previous experience, he was really able to build out Otoy and put the right people around him. Now, I have a list here, so just hang on for a second. He surrounded himself with J.J. Abrams, most known for the Star Trek, Star Wars, and Cloverfield movie series. Then they have Beeple, and as a matter of fact, this week they just unveiled an entire brand new Beeple NFT art gallery. It's very, very interesting. You might want to check that out. We also have Brendan Eek, the CEO of the Brave browser. That's the basic attention token. He's listed as an advisor for Render and Otoy. They also have former Google CEO Dr. Eric Schmidt. That was an interesting name. The CTO from Lucasfilms, Richard Karras, is also listed as an advisor. But this name here has to be the most interesting. Jennifer Scott, member of the World Economic Forum, council member, World Economic Forum. Now, if you do any amount of digging on the World Economic Forum, you'll find out that they are very interested in metaverse technologies. They are very interested in pushing forth the digital agenda. So, to see her there as an advisor, World Economic Forum don't put their stamp on many projects. This, hey, that's a good sign for you. And more recently, they put together the Render Network Foundation. Now, this came shortly after the Solana migration, which we'll get more into a little bit later in the video. But the Render Network Foundation is similar to other foundations you may have heard of in the crypto space, like the HBAR Foundation, Algorand, Stellar Development Foundation, XDC Foundation. There's a lot of foundations out here. Basically, blockchains create these foundations in order to advertise and bring more attention to the product and put themselves in different places that maybe the coders and developers can't really get to socially, right? So that was put together. There's a few Solana team members involved, and well as the advisors and board members for Otoy as part of the foundation as well. So they're going to be doing a lot of work down the road to bring more attention to the Render network and the technology. Now, speaking of the technology, a lot of big names have used Render in the past, and it was mainly through Otoy, which is a good look. When you zoom out, it's a very good look. Now, this was a few years back. The graphic here will show the date on it, but they came together with Facebook, their CTO, John McCormick, for Render the Metaverse. Keep in mind, this was years before Facebook Meta. All right, so it shows that they were thinking about this for quite some time. The concept of the metaverse goes all the way back to the 80s. There's a book about it. Might want to just Google it, you'll find it. But it shows that Render was probably a part of the ideation process for Meta. That's interesting. Now, after Render the Metaverse, they followed this up by providing some more technology for a VR related headset device that was also pushed forward by Facebook. Again, years before Meta and the Oculus, ladies and gentlemen. I'm trying to show you something here. On top of that, they've had investment from HBO and Discovery. So that's a very big move because HBO and Discovery, we know they're trying to reclaim their spot in these streaming wars. They're not faring too well against like Netflix and YouTube. Honestly, YouTube TV is growing. It's crazy. They've also had an Adobe integration, which means that Octane Render, which is the name of the software for rendering, has been integrated into Adobe products. As a matter of fact, there's a comment on the other render video I posted this week. I believe he was an artist that used the actual software. And go check that comment out. He'll tell you it's no joke. So we have the Adobe integration, and this was mentioned by Jules himself in several interviews, but Disney has made use of Octane Render before as well. I haven't personally seen that in writing. I'm not going to say he's, lying or anything, but I just want to be able to see it. He said it. I want to be able to see it. That's just me, though. I wouldn't put it past the project, though, because Disney is a juggernaut and they spend a lot of money on graphics. And if they can find a platform to save them some money, they're going to go into it, right? They're going to get into it. One thing we did see, and this was even before I got into crypto, was that render technology was used in a Super Bowl ad, Pepsi Super Bowl commercial. Mind blowing. I remember that Super Bowl. I believe it was Super Bowl 50. Cam Newton, Peyton Manning. Don't want to talk about it. The jewel, though, the feather in the cap here when it comes to working partners for render, it would have to be their iOS integration. And this is something that they have been going heavily into in the last few months. You can now access the render technology from your iPhone, iPad, Apple device, wherever you're at. This is going to be a game changer as far as adoption goes, because what will happen is that you'll have people using the technology and have no idea it's related to blockchain or crypto. And that's the sauce right there. The projects that are able to create that effect are going to be the ones that last. I promise you. Now, we have the Apple iOS integration. I'm excited. Every time I go through that list, it gets me excited. But here's another thing that has me excited about Render. It's the tokenomics, okay? And the token mechanics. which I'm learning is two different things. We're going to get into the tokenomics first. Maximum supply of the render network, 563 million. This is due to change, though. We'll get to that in a second. Initially, render started out on Ethereum, so that means it was an ERC20. However, in February of this year, they completed their migration to the Solana network. Now, as of recording, there hasn't been any word on any updated token standards. Me personally, I would like to see them come out with their own chain. Chili's did it. So, only time will tell on that aspect. We've migrated from Ethereum. Now we're on Solana. And let's get into this new token model that was also introduced after the migration. So, initially, how the process worked is that Render has 3 tiers. Tier 1 would be for your trusted partners. So the biggest names would be on tier 1: Facebook, Adobe, Apple, so forth and so on. Tier 2, we're looking at the economy. So small to medium production houses, video game publishers, things like that. And then tier 3 would be economy. Now, at each tier, you, of course, get access to different amounts of GPU rendering, data, gig space, all of those nice things, right? It's a lot like a subscription service or a membership tier on some of the channels you may be subscribed to here on YouTube. At certain levels, you get access to certain things from that content creator. It's the exact same way on the Render network. So keep that in mind, because how it used to be is that when you go to do a render job, you have to buy a certain amount of render tokens, and those tokens would sit in the protocol. They wouldn't do anything, they wouldn't be on the market, and they also wouldn't be adding any value either. The new token model is completely different, ladies and gentlemen. Now, when you go to do a render job, instead of getting that render and it's sitting there, it gets burned completely. That means that it's going to be removed from circulation, which is going to have an impact on that maximum supply. And this brings us deflationary tokenomics, just like Ethereum. And if you've been doing the digging on Ethereum's tokenomics, that max supply is going to slowly dwindle. And over time, that's going to kick in scarcity because people are going to see that there's not a lot left of the tokens. Once they locked in this new token structure, I was sold. I was it. I was like, yeah. Now the project has everything it needs. I could not find a negative. Let's get to the why. The reason why I think you should be involved with the Render network. Previous all-time high, $8.75. We are currently about 85% down from that. To me, I call that the recovery phase, recovery money, because that we were pushed away from that all-time high mainly because the rest of the market went into the bear cycle. When Bitcoin broke 61,000, every token on coin market cap went crazy. 100% gains, 150% gains, 200% gains. So when Bitcoin did its pullback, the rest of the market did the same. And that's how you get these numbers like that. So if you're looking into other projects and you see them so far away from an all-time high, don't let that scare you right away. Think of it as recovery money. Now, in addition to that, Render has the first mover advantage, and they're also saving people money, which is going to be very attractive to companies who, they make billions of dollars and they also spend billions of dollars. So that's going to be a very good advantage for them. And also, the use case is not just centered around films and video games. You can also use this, like we mentioned, in retail applications for shopping, VR, AR experiences. And we also can't forget about the fact that now municipal use cases are on the table. And we're talking about courtrooms here, human services, those type of things. They're all going digital. And even your bank could, at one point, only allow you to access it from a digital room. That would be crazy. But the world is heading in that direction, and we can see it, ladies and gentlemen. That's the Render Network for you. If you would like some more, though, something from the founder himself, this week I posted a video where he was discussing the plans for Solana and Render after the migration, and he also gives us some more detail on how the project works, and he dives deep into the Apple iOS integration as well. You can check that video out right here or on this side. depending on which way I do it. With that being said, though, that's all I got for this one. If you found value, of course, you know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe, ring that notification bell. As always, I'm Wade Teamer. If that money is digital, so is the hustle. I'll see y'all in the next video.